Arif with me from dev side. So we are gonna address these points. So first of all, I'm gonna demo from CMP side. How do we create an article and send to a Sitecore feed? And then Arif will continue with the Sitecore end. So what we are gonna cover today is I'm gonna create an article. I use a custom field to map CTA field from CMP. CTA is just another string for us. So we have updated the schema that Sitecore use to extract data from feed to Sitecore. So I'm gonna show how we have added that in the schema and how we are sending from CMP side. Arif has fixed the problem about the date field that that was mentioned. So the date should be working as expected. The future work will be author mapping and the taxonomy that Ansell is using. And Arif will show the data source thing from the Sitecore end. So let me jump to the CMP. So I have created a demo task already, and I have added a content. It's a cricket related content, and I have added few more custom fields. Custom fields are additional information from CMP we send. We have created CTA link and CTA link 2. It's just a text for us. So I have just put some dummy URLs here. Let me save it. So those two custom fields will carry over to the feed, and we have some labels here to configure Sitecore specific labels. One is the workflow. The content will trigger at the Sitecore end. Let me choose it publish, so that the publish workflow trigger and the content get published directly. We can select draft or review, and we can define custom workflows here as well. Then another Sitecore, another level is the Sitecore destination. For the time being, we just have defined few demo destination. I have selected category 1, so it will go to the folder that was mapped with this label. So this is the labels I am setting for this task. Workflow destination and the content format, and the additional information, those CT information is passing through the custom field. Anyone has any questions so far? Okay, good. So let me show you the schema. This is the feed we are going to consume from Sitecore, and this is the schema. It's a bit technical thing. I just wanna show you we have added 2 links, CTA links here. These are just another string for us, and we just mentioned that how do we collect the value from the field. So it's coming from the custom field of the feed, and it will take the value from CTA link and CTA link 2. So this is the change we are making from schema side. I have selected a content. I want it go directly to Sitecore and publish it there. Whenever it will publish, I will get the public URL here. It will be like the URL Sitecore sends. Right now,
So one quick question.
yeah.
Where are you making that schema change? Is that just a result of adding the custom fields, or do you need to edit the schema separate?
It's a one-time configuration, the schema change. So we have to decide which custom fields we are gonna provide. Then according to those custom fields, we're gonna change the schema.
So do you guys need to make that change? Is that something that Ansell can do, or Newscred has to do that?
We can decide when we gonna. I mean, we have a point here that uh, we are fixing the data contract at some point. So when we finalize the data contract, we can modify the schema and so that um, the schema follows the contract.
Okay, so Ansell can add the fields, the custom fields. Is that correct or not?
Yeah, Ansel can add.
But Newscred needs to modify the schema to allow the custom fields to pass through the data feed.
Newscred has to set the schema.
Okay.
Right. Anything else?
No, that's it for the moment. Thank you.
Welcome. So the next thing is publishing destination. I have already selected a demo feed for this demo. So I am just hitting the publish button. So whenever the content get published, I will have another entry in my feed. So let me hit the publish. Okay, the content got published. So I should have the latest content at the end of the schema in the feed. So yeah, this is the content I just sent, and it has those CTA links. So now Arif will show how this thing is working at SiteCore. Arif, should I stop?
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Okay.
So I'm sharing my screen. I hope you can see. So when you install the Sitecore package, you will get this ribbon here with all these buttons, and this item here with the sub items. We will be modifying so that you can use your taxonomy instead of this available text. But just now, let's focus on the configuration items. For the configurations, we have some global fields so that all the configuration items that will be listed here in future will be using these fields. One of them is the analytics script, and another one of them is the default destination. Here is the default destination. Suppose, as Nahid was showing, that each article has a destination, suppose category 1 or 2 can be set from the CMP. We would be able to map from those. We will see a bit later. And there is a default workflow that can be set from here. If we don't map any workflow for any particular kind of articles, this workflow will be used. Now let's show you a individual configuration. This is the URL for the feed where Nahid just published a new article. And this is the template for the data source that is going to be used for the content holder of this article and associated with the page which have the template named. I have selected as simple article page. Let me just show you that you can select any of them I have just selected the demo article, and the page template is the simple article page. And here we should have, we already have selected a rendering, and rendering will be used for the page article with the data source of these items, this type of items. And as you already know that all pages should have layout, and the layout is associated with the templates. Let me just show you if you want to modify or add your own. Let me show you the page template I'm using here. This is the template I'm using here. As you can see, if I go to the standard values and go to the presentation details, you can see the default layout we have provided with the package by default, which have some predefined placeholders. One of them is NCP main, where we by default inject the rendered component, and we have mentioned it here, NCP main. So these are the configurations for the feed. What will be going to be the articles pulled from the feeds. And now let me show you the mappings here. Let's first see the destination. As you might remember that we have a default destination up here, which corresponds to these. If we don't map any of this destination, this global one will be used. So we have already mapped category 1 to our destination folder, which is up here, category 1. Then let me show the field mapping, the author. This is a Sitecore field, and you might have guessed that this field is coming from the data source template. As we already know that this data will be used to populate the data source item. Let me show you one article we have already created. So this is the final page item, which is using the data source article data, and which has the template of this name. So mapping should be between the fields of the data template and the Sitecore fields made available through the schema. So if I click here, let me just change. Okay, let me just refresh it. So this is the Sitecore field, which is coming from the data source template, and these are the fields coming from the schema. So I have selected author for author, and content for the description, and so on. The new ones are the CTA. I have made another field in the data source for this demo named CTA, and we have mapped it to the CTA link field, which has been exposed through the schema. So this is how we are preparing the field mappings and the workflow. The workflow is right now mapped with the review and approve. With basically this is same kind of mapping as the field mapping. You just select a Sitecore workflow and select a label that has been exposed through the schema. I just remember that Nahid has created the article with the published workflow,
Right.
which we do not have here. Let's create another mapping. So, okay, make them distinct and select publish and publish, and let's save it. And it should be good for synchronization. So we can select it here and go to the ribbon here and click the sync. It will show us some notification what we'll be doing here. So we should be getting the new article. Which is this one, I guess. And it has all the fields. I think it has no author, but I think this one. This is the one that has been published just now.
Yes, you're right.
And let's see the work.
Hello.
Arif, are you there? I guess Arif has disconnected.
We can give him a minute. Naheed, do you want to message Arif and just see if he can jump back on?
Yeah. I can, the article already ingested at Sitecore site, and I can share my screen and show you that the URL has collected at CMP end. I just refresh the page. So this is um, the public URL. This is the Sitecore link we just received from Sitecore. So the article has published, and yep, and the author field was empty. I haven't set any author, that's why we were not seeing anything. But if we select some author here, it should be visible at Sitecore. Arif was also planned to show the data source part. So the data source thing is for every pages we are creating at Sitecore, we have a data source attached to that page. And the data to render that page is collected from that data source. Let me see if he hasn't joined yet.
Hey team. So I think Naheed, if you don't mind seeing if Arif can jump back on and we can look at the data source piece. Jeff and Diedrich, just with respect to the custom fields that we looked at and how they're coming across in terms of the call to actions. I know those were a couple of questions that had come up previously. I just wanted to see if what we showed you aligns with what you're thinking of pulling into Sitecore in order to be able to add that information in the CMP and then have it come across?
So, sort of. I mean, so yeah, we're pulling. You're able to enter a URL in NewsCred and send it across to Sitecore. So that's good. But our CTA links, and this issue will apply to the CTA link and the author as well, right? We have internal Sitecore links that are typically is what's populated in the CTA link field. So that's what we were still trying to sort out. It may be harder to handle that one. So maybe we can start with the author, right? So our author items are defined in a separate part of the tree in Sitecore. And the link to the author here would just be a GUID, right? An ID to the author item that lives in another part of the Sitecore tree. So similarly, at the CTA link here would just be a link, a GUID representing another item in the Sitecore tree. Often it could be an external link, and when it's an external link, this is what you've shown is fine. Will work fine. But one of the questions we had was, is there any way to handle that so that we can use the Sitecore internal links from NewsCred? And have you dealt with that in any of your other installations with Sitecore?
Okay, got it. Yeah, no, definitely understood that kind of referencing piece. So being able to pull Sitecore specific data into the CMP to add in those custom fields. That's the piece for the author, the call to action links, and a couple other of the kind of custom fields. Is that right? Including tags?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sorry, I just got disconnected and I was syncing the feeds. Should I continue that or?
Yeah, Arif, maybe you should show the data source part. I just showed that the link has collected at the CMP end, and this is the public link we are showing at the end of the article. I'm stop sharing. Arif, you can show the data source part.
Yeah, so these are the articles that we have created, and this is the new one that has been pulled from the feed. And this is the data source we are talking about, and whose template we selected to be demo article data. So basically, this is the whole part about the data source. And I think your requirement was about the field to be injected, this mapped field actually, to be injected directly to the page item, not to the data source, if I understood correctly in the last meeting.
Yeah, I think that's correct. That's the way our blog pages are set up currently. The fields exist on the item itself.
So in case you want to accommodate this way, I want to show you how to create or edit these templates or where to find these ones. Should I proceed to that way?
Sure.
So these templates and renderings all come by default with the Sitecore package we provided. If you go to the templates and foundation NCP, you will find a new folder or parent item here named NCP. And this is the data templates. We named it data templates because these templates will be creating the data source for the pages. And page template is the one you already know actually. This is the template for the pages and data templates. So if I want to create another data template, I just need to create a new template here and define the fields I want to map with the CMP feed. So the fields here are actually coming from this one. You can see that these are exactly the same ones. So, and the date, actually I would be able to show that the date item is working right now correctly. And previously we were selecting it as a single line text, so it was not parsing it properly. We fixed it to be the date item. And back to the discussion, basically, if I want to create a new data template, just add it here. If I proceed to add it, it will take some time, I think. To have all those fields and everything. Data, let's add the title. And single line text is fine. Now I should be able to map it here. I might need to refresh it. Yeah, the new template is here. And let's save it. Save the change and sync the configuration. Configuration means these items, and syncing these items means the schema that was showing Nahid, the fields and everything exposed through the schema will be collected here under these items, and which will be used for the options here. So as I have changed the fields here, I need to sync it again with the schema. And now here you can see the only one field is here because that data source or the template of the data source contain only one title here. And as it has the same name as the previous one, it actually remembers which one was pointed. If I want to choose another one, I can choose. So this is the way to we thought about how you might be use the data source using these templates. And if I sync it again, actually the regular sync will not work because we have a field here that I think I just got disconnected. That's why the synchronization was not done correctly. So ideally, it should have a time stamp, the last successful time of the synchronization. So I can use the sync. It should be syncing this item with the new configuration. And we will find that this article will have the same data template and data templates as you are already using the Sitecore. You already know that this should be published as well, so that it is available in the web database. Otherwise, it won't be working when you publish it. Now let's come back to the data source, and we can see the title is here. And this title has been pulled from the feed actually. And this one has the same change. And if we go back to the workbox and update it, we can find a review and approve workflow has an article here. Submit all, approve all. Let's go to the feed, or I'm sorry, the log, where you can find that this article has been published and has been posted to the CMP, the field. Just a few minutes ago, Nahid was showing that he has received this published URL. He should be receiving this one again, because I just published it again. Let me go to the incognito mode and try to browse it. Image URL. It's just basically the rendering. We just put a dummy rendering here. We can actually 100% be confirmed that you will be using your own rendering. So we are not very concerned about this rendering. I think you already know what rendering is. Should I explain that?
No.
What's happening here?
No, that's fine.
Okay, thanks. So I think you understood the way, I think. Do you have any question about the data source?
Well, maybe. I mean, we're still, and Diedrich, help me here if I'm missing something, but we're not using a data source for our blog
exactly
items, so we haven't really tackled that problem yet, unless I missed your explanation.
I didn't understand. This is the data source item we are using for rendering this page.
We're not using a data source, right? So our blog items don't use a data source.
Yeah, your blog item does not. Yeah. I got that in the previous meeting. I just want to show you how we thought you would be using it. Yeah, we got that. So we this is in our feature work that we would be accommodating somehow the field to be injected in the page item directly if you don't use the data source actually.
Right.
If you have any other question or something.
No, so is that something you guys currently can support in the connector, or that would be a change that you would need to make to it to support?
We need to, right, Arif?
Yeah, we need to change.
Okay.
You need to modify the existing code to accommodate that.
All right. And is that what's a time frame for that?
We have to check how much time it needs, and we will communicate. We still not sure how much time it might need. So we will let you know.
Okay.
So the outstanding task, at least I can see that the mapping of author name with the Sitecore author, using the taxonomy of the taxonomy Ansell is already using. We have to use that taxonomy. Right now we are using custom defined taxonomy. It's also outstanding, and the data source thing that Arif just mentioned, these three things is the outstanding task we need to complete.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so from a perspective of just kind of, we've still, Nikita, I know you mentioned we've got kind of those pieces outstanding. So for us to investigate is the time, effort, and scale involved in the modification to solve the data source issue. And then also just a discussion around for our custom fields. So we can, obviously send the blank text over, but the basically bi-directional flow of having not only sending content to your system, but having Sitecore properties show in the CMP for selection. So from a custom field perspective, being able to pick internal Sitecore links, being able to kind of pick from Sitecore elements when in the CMP is also something that we'll need to follow up on. Apart from those items mentioned, so understanding that data source is obviously the biggest piece we need to kind of overcome at the moment, and then we can re-examine the custom field element. Were there other points that needed clarification or anything else for us to take back and kind of follow up with you guys on based off of the demo again and just kind of seeing how everything's been set up?
I don't think I have any other. Diedrich, can you think of anything else?
No, I think we went over everything.
Okay, so for us, those are our pieces to follow up on this week. And what we'll do is via email provide further details. We've recorded this call, so I'll make sure that's made available just in case there's any stakeholders on your side who need to review it, and just for our reference too. So I'll send this by email immediately afterwards, and then we'll follow up a little bit later this week after our teams regrouped internally to provide further context around kind of those two sort of key points around the custom field data and also the data source piece.
Thanks, Sarah.
Perfect. Thanks, Natalia. Thanks, team. All right. If there's nothing else, we'll finish off early there, and then we'll do, as I said, the 2 follow-ups this week.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for your time. Have a good day.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.